Teaching is one of those professions where salaries don't match the glowing things we say about the job. Teachers train the next generation, unwrap the wonder and scope of the world, and shape the community. But when adjusted for inflation, there hasn't been a significant change in salary in more than 40 years. The U.S. Department of Education also says there's a shortage. 40 states have lower public school staff levels than they did before the pandemic. Could those problems be solved if teachers were paid $100,000? The question is part of the Washington Post's Why Not series, which explores bold ideas for government, business, and individuals. Dan Pink wrote the column, no stranger to big ideas. He's written multiple bestsellers on topics ranging from regret to perfect timing and personal and professional success. And Dan joins us now. Dan, it's good to see you. Why is a raise the answer? And I know you don't do anything without numbers behind it. Why would it work?
Well, I'm not sure it's the answer, but it's an answer. Teachers get paid significantly less than any similarly situated college-educated professionals. Teachers earn about 75 cents on the dollar compared to other college-educated professionals, whether they're accountants or actuaries or anything else. And so, and as a consequence, you have teachers leaving the profession. And if we really want to put some oomph behind our belief in education, this is an adrenaline shot that might get us to pay attention and actually might entice more people to become teachers.
And is there a way it gets paid for that is within the suggestion?
Well, yes. It's an extraordinarily expensive proposition, John. Call it about $100 billion. That's a B. $100 billion. $100 billion a year. That's actually doable with some form of revenue sharing between the federal government and the state and local government. But here's the thing. If we're going to spend $100 billion, it comes with some strings attached. And this is something that not everybody favors. So one of them is that an 11-month school year, there's no reason to have a 9-month school year to give kids in New York City or Washington, D.C. or Los Angeles time over the summer to take care of the harvest. That's antiquated, and teachers should work 11 months a year just like everybody else. The second thing is that it's also very difficult to get rid of underperforming teachers. And this is a big problem. And a lot of the people who are pro-teacher don't like to talk about this. Most teachers are excellent. Many are extraordinary. But a few just aren't up to the job. And under the current regime, it's difficult to show them the door. And so under this plan, we're going to give teachers a massive pay increase, but there are going to be a few strings attached to it.
We'll come back and talk about how the teacher union would respond to that, because I want to switch gears and ask get to your other big idea, which is a nationally mandated civics test. Why did you start thinking about that?
Well, I had my sister-in-law was born and raised in Indonesia. She married my brother 20 plus years ago, and she's lived in the States for a long time, and finally just got around to becoming a citizen because she was going to Asia far less often than before. She didn't want to give up her Indonesian citizenship, and she had to take a test, this relatively simple test of civic knowledge. And as we were talking about it, and as she was preparing, I said, this is a wonderful thing. This gets us thinking about what it means to be an American at a very perilous time in our country. And so I thought, why not, which is the theme of the column, why not inject this civics test in other areas of our life? Maybe make it a requirement for high school graduation. Maybe make it some kind of incentive within the passport process, because people who travel overseas are U.S. ambassadors, citizen ambassadors. And also, why not make it a speed bump on the road to public office? If all these politicians have to raise their hand and announce their fealty to the Constitution, let's see whether they understand what's actually in that document.
And do you think that last point seems unassailable? But let's talk about the citizenry. What's the hope if there is greater? If people understand their civic history and lessons better, what's the hope there?
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because the whole point of this idea, the reason to raise it is not to exclude people, but actually to include people. That one of the things that's missing in this country right now is sincere, honest, heartfelt conversation about what are our obligations as citizens. What does it mean to be an American today? We have all this evidence that people are feeling less prideful about being American. We have some people questioning who is actually a real American. And by getting more people to start talking about civics, to start talking about the government, to start talking about the values that underlie this country, I actually think that a civics test in this very modest form might actually keep us together in some way through honest, heartfelt conversation.
I endorse Dan Pink, contributing columnist for the Washington Post. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Pleasure.